Well, good morning everybody. I hope you're all well. And we're just going to have a look at editing some of the photographs that we have from the last video of Stickery. So what I'm going to show you is an edit process. So up here we've got just an ordinary Windows edit screen. So it comes up like that. I can crop it if I wish. I'm not going to crop it. We're just going to go on to the color adjustment. So here you can start to get a picture. I might fiddle with the highlights here and raise the highlights. You start to see the picture darken and sharpen up. So all I'm asking you to do here is to carefully look at this, because when you alter these settings, you start to see what's through various layers, and you start to see imagery coming here, and there'll be imagery there and up here. So if I reduce the shadows like that. So now how about taking some of the exposure out of it? Becomes quite a bit darker. Now I'm not going to leave it like this. I'm just hoping that you can notice some of this, like a really big eye that's come up there, face that's there. Let's take that exposure back down again. See what shows? You can see clear facial imagery there. Here. Put up the contrast. Now I'm going to add the exposure in. So it keeps changing, keeps evolving, just with changing the colours, the contrast, highlights and the shadows. So that becomes clear, that becomes clearer. I reduce the contrast now. So this face here is very faint. Put it back up, becomes clearer. Put it back down, disappears. Exposure up, highlights down a bit, shadows down a bit. So it's going to ask us if we want to save it. We'll just save it. Yeah. So that's the saved result. Next photo. On this, we've got this here. Can you see that? Faint stuff like that. What is going on here? Does anybody know? Why have we got a face? Faint face there. There is stuff going on here. This big eye there. There's a very tall, see that facial image there? Quite large. So all of this stuff is happening and we're getting these blurs created. And I go on about blurs because we do, we all spend a lot of money on our cameras to get them the best quality we can get. And then when energy comes into an image, It makes it look like you've got a cheap camera for about $5 from a thrift store. There's a very clear image of a delta sign. And we've seen this before, with the line through the middle. There we are. We have seen it before. And I think we need to go into these and see if we can get to the bottom of them. It's very difficult because I think they're quite protective of what they may mean and what they may say. Now here, clearly there's a face. Can you see that? Clearly. Can you see the one faintly there? Faintly here. The one there. I mean, I could go on for ages and ages saying there's one here, there's one there. But it just is. And we've got a larger image there. Much larger. One up there. These are just screenshots. This is why they're blurred, because there's movement. Now at the start of this video of Stickery, I got the impression, I was told that there was going to be an opening, to keep an eye out for an opening. So up here we have this shape, and that's what it looks like. And right in the middle of it is an eye, and I believe, you can see the eye there, I believe that's what they're saying, is it's an opening. So is it a hole in the veil that they can see us and we can partially see them? I'm not sure. But we've got down here something else, sort of just out of my zoom range, but there, that's quite peculiar. And you notice the pink on the trees. This is the Forestry Commission. They just love the colour pink. Let's go and spray our trees pink. So if I'm going to move you across to this side of the screen, and that's an eye there. Clearly an eye, a big bobbly eye. Blurring here, toteming to the side. And then you get this totems up here. We've still got our face remaining in there, however faint it's remaining. If you zoom in on it, it's there. It's actually a head upside down, two together. We've got some kind of, you see this face here? Dark shadowing there. Did I see this at the time? No. Did I feel it? Yes. Something going on there, something going on there. There's a lot going on. In this, I come across to this here. You can't get any detail out of them. The closer you get in, the loss of detail is. But there's another facial image there. In between the trees, it's as if the trees give them the energy to produce whatever it is, their face or their image. There's something there, look at that, tilted to the side, that face there. Oh, and a big eye, don't forget the eyes. You could spend all day just counting the eyes in this imagery. What's this here? There are so many eyes. And this was a close-up, really, of the Stickery, as I call it. This is just one of them. So there's no way an animal is going to gather these sticks. I mean, they're sizable, so a bird is not going to be taking them unless it's a pterodactyl. But to lay them in these order is quite interesting. They are not just thrown there, they are ordered. In this shot here, we've got this here. Can you see that? Just out the bottom of the tree. Energy there. Producing imagery. This here, producing imagery. That looks like a large eye belonging to a face that's as large as that. Sometimes these are better to see on a smaller screen rather than if you have a TV the size of Times Square, all of this imagery would be lost. So I've just been to the gifting tree here and left the empty baggies down here. So the bells would be on the ground there. You can just see them. You just see those there. And the tree where the apple's hanging off here. And this is the stump where I would actually leave the food, but I've left the plastic bags on there for now. So carefully, I'm looking at this, thinking, what is that? Something white. Can you see that? Well, you might see this as well. But let's just look at that. And I think we're going to go back to the remote data accumulator here. There's all sorts of other imagery in here, facial stuff. So if I move on to the next shot, in the next image, that's hidden. Whatever that white object is hidden. It's somewhere behind or within these trees. So it's beginning to appear again. Very strange. Oh, we've got little faces up here, little imagery up here. And, just bizarre. Really, it's bizarre. Look what's back. Whatever that is. Not really sure. But this here. Wait, there's a faint face. Oh, I missed that. There's a faint face there on the edge of the screen. But here, this is our little floating object. There's a lot of detail lost when I zoom in. It's like a jellyfish, a floating jellyfish. But what do you see in it? What does that look like to you? I wonder if we can enhance this. There's a imagery behind there. I wonder if by doing some adjustments to it, I don't really want to zoom in on it yet. Just want to see what happens to the image if we take out some of the exposure. That becomes clearer. Put a bit of contrast up, shall we? Just a little touch. Highlights. Yeah. And take some shadows. Take the shadows out a bit. See if I can. Now I'm going to bring the exposure up a bit. Now let's see if we can do a little bit of a crop. I don't want to make it too big or everything will be lost. She says, making it too big. Alright, so this is what we have just saved. I'm zooming in on it a bit. So we've got strangeness here. we've got our, whatever the hell that is. It looks like a pill bottle, doesn't it? And then we've got strange, there's a faint face on that side. Reminds me of Mercury. I think that's Mercury. Not sure. And then all of this nonsense. Look at this. Look at this. What the heck? What? Colour, blurring. I mean, we have zoomed in massively. But then you start to get all this detail here, up there, there. This here. Cheeky laugh. Look at that. That's somebody laughing behind the tree there. Do you see that? Peeping and laughing. Let's have a look. See if we can see anything with that. It's just a blur. But what do you think, folks? There's an eye. There's an eye there. Oh, there's another eye there. Oh, let's not look for eyes because we're going to be here all day. So in the next sequence, that has gone. It's not visible anymore. But we have some bizarreness here. Face there, and another one here. I don't know what that is. That's odd, because that's where we are. We've got nothing over there. Unusualness. So this is literally a split second later. That becomes even more like a flying jellyfish. Maybe that was what was over here. I don't know. But then we get this sort of image here. Is it? There's one here and there's another one there. It's blurring on there. You need to turn your head to the right to get that one. In the top corner there. I took this image because I was looking at the bark and wanting to see if I could get or find any kind of connection between where these leaners with the stickery were and the actual trees, but I didn't really get anything. All I could find was this up here. Can you see that? No, you couldn't make it up, could you? So within this, it's two pieces of film joined together with a crossfade, so you get this split image. So there's actually about 3 seconds between each. So I'm going to do some play around with these things here. So contrast, that highlights the dark and the light. I'm going to put this contrast right up on it. So it looks vile colour, but you start to see things being highlighted. There. What's large there. So we'll remove that down a little touch, take the exposure out of it, see if that works, if that does anything. We'll drop that contrast, we'll drop the exposure, and I'm going to put the highlights. That does a similar thing to, it sharpens and defines this image, and this starts to come clearer. And very, very faintly you start to see all sorts of imagery in there. Let's see if we can, and we're getting a very clear face in there. We're getting a clear face there. Brightness, it's a little brightness. Does that help? Not really. So that's just how you can fiddle around and enhance things, but it also shows you different layers. I mean, if I just take all of that out and just take all the exposure out, so look how dark and grey that looks now. I'll turn the contrast up, brightness up a little touch, highlights up a little bit, shadows down a little bit, and then bring the exposure in slowly. At some point, other layers may or may not appear. They don't appear at all, but you get a large face there, and another one there, and an eye over here. So, we'll cancel that, we don't want to save that, really. So we'll have a look at the next. Now with this, I thought there was lots of imagery up here, so I thought we'll have a look by editing it using the Windows screen editor, so you can alter the crop and you can tip it. All this does is do this, change the angle of the photograph, which I don't want to do, so we'll put that back to 0. But I'm interested in changing the colours and the brightness and things like that. So first of all, I think it's a little overexposed. So we'll take it slowly and see what shows. Are you seeing any imagery showing in there? It's gone very dark. See what that does. Put the highlights right up. Now I'm going to add that exposure again, and at some point we might see or might not see imagery change, become more visible. So immediately I see something in the middle here. There's a head there, and looks like a hand coming to the mouth. Prayer. Are two hands together in prayer? Yeah. Let's add a little bit of contrast. So when some things start to show, others start to disappear. And what's absolutely happened here is this very faint face coming to the fore here. Highlighted these little dark areas here. It doesn't always improve it, but sort of faint imagery in this, very faint. And the face on there. It's bizarre. So I took this from the other side of the gifting area, and that's where we gifted. I was trying to get the image of the other side of this tree, because this full picture had the tree on this side, the leaner going up there, and I could see a clear face up here. But for no apparent reason, this happened to the image. I've never ever happened that way. You get a great big black space. It's like it's just cut it off. Like somebody did not want their face to be seen, which is fair enough. So I've just left that. But it was a bit of weirdness. So we have this going on up here. I have no idea what that is. Any thoughts? A little bit of weirdness there. But then this here, this is weird. You see this sort of big dark, it's like two people standing side by side. I don't know, it's behind the gifting bag, because that's the bag on the stump. It's behind that. And then we've got this pinky thing. It's not very clear, but it's odd. More oddness. And this is the image that followed split second later, and they haven't got rid of this side of it, but the face that I saw up here has gone. It's not there anymore. So I think they didn't want that face shown. Imagery. And we've got this weird pinky thing up here again. I don't know what that is. But this is bizarre, isn't it? Whatever is this? It is. What is that? Oh, somebody with mustachio? Looks like the guy from Sparks, Ron Mail. He's in our woods, looking strange in our woods. Then we've got this tall shadowing up here. Somebody's legs shadowing. I don't know. So I've panned the camera around a little bit, and immediately we have this here. And I took it because it looked like an eye. But also we have this. We've got what looks like a smile. You can actually see the individual teeth. But I think that's a tree spirit. This is like a lozenge. This to me, can you see it's like a hand holding a lozenge or a cigar. There's something written on it. Cuban best. It does look like a lozenge, doesn't it? Very strange. It's like a hand holding a lozenge. Don't know. Is that what we saw before? I wonder. What's this? Why has it got something like in the middle there? Something square, metallic looking. Don't know. Don't know. I didn't notice it at the time, but it's there. So this is a split second later, and they really are split second. It's more like a third of a second later, and you've got this sort of imagery here showing. What looks like an eye is still there. Just appears to be one eye. One-eyed person. This thing here is still doing whatever it's doing. But notice the blurring. And who is this? There's a big pair of shoulders up there and face up there. Big pair of shoulders. What I would also comment on is, I don't know what that is. It looks, well, it's a right angle, very squared. I have no idea what that is. So these were all taken within a split second of each other, and I've moved on. I've turned the camera to the left a bit more. So that's the gifting bag up there. That's even changed its form. It now looks like it's, well, it just looks weird, doesn't it? It looks like a weird blurred something or other. Don't know what that is. What could that be? Now I'll have a close look at that. Look at the size of the mouth, because that appears to be a mouth with a big round head there. Tiny ears, no neck, no apparent neck, head sitting firmly on whatever appears to be its shoulders. More totem in here. So That could even be up in the tree here, it could be down in the ground. It's just where it happens to be. What is going on right in the middle here? I'm going to edit this photo, we're going to have a look at this. What is that? Blue, yellowish, grey, odd. Don't know what that is. So I'm not going to zoom in on it, but we'll go for the colour adjustment. And we'll take a little bit of that out of it. That's still there. Oh, that becomes a bit more clearer. Add some highlights. Hope if I put my glasses on, I might see what I'm doing. And then some shadows. So I've highlighted those. I'm going to put that full on. And look what happens. Look what happens in the middle there. Look at that area. And then add that even more. I'm going to add some contrast. Does that help or not? It does, just a little bit. Just gives you, I'm not going to save it like that, but it does give you this a little bit more. What do you think of that? Superbly weird. So what's happening up here? Nothing. And then here, what is this? Horizontal light. Look at that. Like a bar. I wonder if that's this little RDA thing. Remote data accumulator. Just a thought. In this is weirdness hanging from a tree. Just remember that. It's like weirdness. It's like an upside down Y stick with something central in the middle. I don't know why I was drawn to notice that, but I did. There's something going on there, imagery going on there, but look at that. That appears to be behind all of these branches. So from where I'm standing, that tree is this tree is probably about 10 metres away. And this will be a bit further on, 14 or 15. And that's the gifting pile, okay? That's where we've left our nuts and bits and pieces. So let's zoom in on that so you can see the shape of the peanut butter thing. Why have we got this imagery now in the bags that we've left, that we have? And what is that? Should I turn this picture upside down? Is that upside down, do you think? Let's have a look. So we're looking in this area, and it was this bit here that was of interest. There we go. There we go. Oh, right. Righty-ho. And this here, has that got anything? Or is that nothing? It's just more weirdness, folks, so let's turn it the right way up. So I'm just going to see if by altering any of the colours in here we get any enhancement. Highlights. That sometimes brings a lot of stuff in. And then the shadows counter the highlights. So it's like an amplification, if you like. Don't want too much. Nonsense around the tree. Nonsense up here. Let's see what contrast does. There's a lot of contrast in. That's way too much. So I'll just put a little bit of contrast in. Not exposure. I'm adding exposure, adding more light to it so it bleaches. Let's take it the other way. Okay. Brightness, just a touch. I've got some sort of imagery here. Something definitely there. Yeah. And this is the next photo in that sequence. So the blurring is because I'm moving the camera. That's the reason for that. So we get this here, whatever that is. I can see a little person sitting there. Starts to act like a Russian doll where you see a person within, or a face within a face within a face. Don't know what this greying and blurring here is. Certainly a big facial image there. They haven't perfected putting themselves into an image without blurring it. Well, you need to work on that, guys. You need to work on it. This is this weird bit of nonsense up here. That looks like an open mouth because I can actually see teeth. Can you see the teeth? Gums, teeth, lips. Can you see that? And then this starts to have ridges. Just a little bit of bizarreness. There was nothing really too untoward about this picture. It just looked like they haven't fiddled with it, but of course they have. They have a head tilting to the left outside of a tree here. Something going on there. What, we don't know. This looks a bit light there. But that's sort of quite good, you can see that. And then this centre screen, really, if I put this back to how it was, the centre of the screen is this. What is that? Can you see that? Bizarre. Word of the day. Every time I do this, there's only one word that seems to fit. And it's bizarre. Dodge that. In this next clip, this is the one that I think sounds like it says we have fruit. So I'll show you what it looks like. This is the image. So that's what it looks like when it's travelling across. Let me just knock those off. We'll try that again. So there's quite a lot of noise on there, and that's what I'm trying to get rid of, is the amount of noise. You can see the range is colossal. It's this big sort of blurb, and then in amongst all of that is this wording that says we have fruit. So the best I could do was put on an EQ here and see what that does to it. You can hardly hear it. lose it totally there. So I'll just leave that on there. And then I've got an EQ here which may or may not help. It just reduces a little bit of that background noise, but not much. It's really difficult to find it. And I can't raise those volumes anymore on there, so it's not easy, but that's the best I can sort of clear up. But the words on this one says we have fruit. That's clear. This one, different. I'm not really sure what this is saying at all. So in this, I've tried to enhance sound a little bit, not with much success. And I'm sure that what they're saying in this here is these are mine. It's quite hard to pick out, but that's what I think they're saying. Let's have a look at this. These are mine. These are mine. So, I've tried to enhance the sound. And what we've got here is, I'll put on this studio, it's a curve sound. This is a show you what it looks like on the... So I've pulled this up here, but we still get a lot of background noise, but there's a little bit of hope there. So I'll pop that up there. Then we've got an EQ which I have put in, and I've raised this up a little bit just to get this shape of the sound a little bit better. This is quite a good one actually. Look at the hertz. So it's not where I thought it was, not at all. Getting peaks of 713, 1 there, but 118 there, nothing, nowhere near what I expected. And this is the histogram that sort of shows you what's happening. So I think that's saying these are mine. So whoever's voice that is, first of all, they're saying we have fruit. And I wasn't sure that it says we have food or we have fruit, but after a lot of listening, I came up with this we have fruit. And then this one, I just called it little voice, but what they're saying is these are mine. So I hope you found that interesting.